from Ivory Tower Populism. This is video number 2. Is free stuff good, or reasons our most valuable services should not be free? So here are some reasons that free stuff actually may not be a good idea. Reason number 1, the customer might actually get his or her money's worth. Reason 2, the customer needs to value the provider-customer transaction, that is, to value the product. 3, the provider needs to value the provider-customer transaction, that is, to value the customer. 4, citizen empowerment, a right of refusal and negotiation. 5, to prevent the overconsumption that's apparent in the tragedy of the commons. 6, eventually you run out of other people's money. And 7, it ignores the real source of the problem, co-opting actual solutions. So going back to reason number 1, the customer might get his or her money's worth. Free stuff gives us a two-dimensional view of value, but we need a deeper understanding of what value actually is. In the case of free college, free transportation, or even a free bridge, meaning I can cross it without paying a toll, we could look at the number of users to get a sense of how much value the goods provide local users. But this offers us no insight at all about the intensity of that benefit. In the academic publishing world, there are open access journals and predatory journals. These are never recognized as top quality journals. The high quality journals are those for which university libraries have to pay top dollar. Reason number 2, the customer needs to value the provider-customer transaction or value the product. That is, to have skin in the game. There needs to be actual personal value invested by the customer. Otherwise, the customer doesn't value the transaction. For example, if we don't have to pay out of pocket for doctor's visits, then we're more likely to no-show those appointments. If we don't pay for our own food, we might take the food from the grocer and then just let it spoil at home. And reason number 3, the provider needs to value the provider-customer transaction. That is, to value the customers that keep them in business. Without this resource dependence, providers lack accountability. The individual customer is not represented and has no power. If many to all the beneficiaries don't pay directly for their own services, the provider is frequently inefficient overall, facing little accountability to these beneficiaries. Going back to the prior example, if the grocer doesn't value the contribution of the customers, the grocer might let the food spoil in the grocery. Similarly, regarding all the free products that we can get on the internet, it has been said that if you didn't pay for the product, you are the product. So regarding government services, utilizing a highly progressive income tax and then offering lots of free stuff to the poor actually probably only disenfranchises the poor further. And reason 4, empowerment. Citizens deserve a right of refusal as well as the ability to negotiate terms. If you buy a house, would you rather pay $2,000 in property taxes and $8,000 in utility bills, or $8,000 in property taxes and $2,000 in utility bills? You might say, well, they're both the same. I actually prefer the former because I can make decisions that will lower my utility bills. Insulation, new windows, efficient furnace. I prefer toll roads or gas tax funded roads over free to use roads because I can carpool or drive a more fuel efficient car to lower these user fees. Remember, you're paying for these goods either way. If you pay for your own college, the cost benefit to you reflects whether you were wise in shopping for a good college, one that doesn't overcharge, a good major, one that pays for itself, and overall how good of a student you were. If government offers free college to all, meaning funded through everybody's taxes, then the cost of your share of everybody's education hinges upon how wise everyone was in shopping for a good college, selecting a good major, and how good of students they all were. I like to be able to control my own destiny, my own costs and benefits, and above all, possess the right to decline the service in the first place, and hence not be forced to pay for it. Reason number 5, to prevent the overconsumption that is endemic in the tragedy of the commons. If there's rivalry of consumption, there must be a charge to consume the good. Only subsidies of true public goods won't cause inflation of those goods. Subsidizing non-public goods only puts those goods further out of reach for working people, encouraging further subsidies and hence further price increases. This is what happened with both medical and college costs. Now, to be fair, both public and private third-party payers created this effect. Reason 6, eventually you run out of other people's money. That is, we shouldn't see total production as fixed, a constant, something that is a given, like manna from heaven, but rather a dependent variable, something in which to invest. In order to consume value, you must produce equal value. Maybe I want free healthcare, and it's really easy for me to advocate that it should be given out freely, but the healthcare workers didn't get a bunch of free stuff. They had to work really hard to produce that healthcare value. If we get free stuff without having to produce other stuff, there will be less stuff available to make free for everyone in the first place. In other words, if the total production of our economy is 20 trillion, then clearly we can only redistribute that and no more. But it's more than that. We wouldn't have had that 20 trillion in the first place with a lot of redistribution, more than we already have. So here's the paradox. If we want more stuff to redistribute, then we shouldn't have redistribution policies. 7, and most importantly, it ignores the real source of the problem, co-opting an actual solution. The critical underlying question is, why are able-bodied people not earning enough to pay their own way? To answer that, you might need to address the role of corporations, their market power and hierarchy, address corporate welfare, address not just corporate pay disparities, but the overall return on labor versus the return on capital. You really need to address investing in people in a way that truly creates value, increasing their own productivity. In other words, fixing our educational system. For example, Senator Bernie Sanders quite correctly identified 2 huge problems. One, the opportunities afforded by higher education are too expensive and are out of reach for many. And 2, the current structure of our economy seems to generate wealth mostly at the top. He then completely ignores both problems, advocating free college, essentially hiding both problems, sweeping the true cost of higher education under the rug, and bringing no structural reform to our economy. So, while it's much harder, I think we should try to contemplate actual solutions, not quick fixes and bribery, such is the purpose of these videos. And I'll see you next time.